Hello guys, this is Conduit Gaming here with another video on Tunic. It's a new action-adventure game taking heavy inspiration from Dark Souls and The Legend of Zelda. But before we even get into the gameplay or the story or anything else, let's just kind of talk about the developer, Andrew Schuldice. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his last name right. Yeah, it was made by a one-man studio over at least the last 7 years, with the game being announced in 2015 under a different name, which is honestly surprising because of how, I guess, well made and polished this game is. Like, it looks beautiful, it plays well, I didn't encounter any bugs or visual glitches, and I just wanted to give props to Andrew. Can't be easy to develop a whole game by yourself, and then to have this like level of quality with it as well. I'm really impressed, and I'm glad this game seems to be a success. As I mentioned, this game, while I hate comparing things to Dark Souls just because it seems like every kind of semi-hard game gets compared to Dark Souls, this is kind of how the game plays. It has that live, die, repeat gameplay loop where one, like, dying is kind of canon to the story. Like, there's narrative reasons, not that I know what they are. It's also like Dark Souls in that aspect, but there is narrative reasons for your character dying and coming back to life. And then you're also facing tough enemies, and like any enemy can kill you if you're careless. But it really does also remind you of the 2D Zelda games, partially because of the art style, of course. He wears the inspiration on his sleeve a little bit. Like, there's like a little Triforce thing within the game. It's not really the Triforce, but like, if you play the game, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, first 5 minutes, you're gonna be like, okay, that's the Triforce. Also, it has the Isometric Combat, so you're looking down for combat. Not really a bird's eye view, but a more of a tilted camera angle. But it's not like two games mashed together, you know? It's more than a Dark Souls game that looks like Zelda. It is its own unique game. But let's get into the game. You start out as a cute little fox who wakes up on the beach with no idea why or how you got there. You just kind of start off naked with nothing but a tunic on, you know? Who would have thought? Until you find a stick, and that's your first weapon. You start off not really knowing like what's going on, where to go, which is always interesting in my opinion, just because in more modern games they kind of hold your hand. Like, they don't want to push any player away from this game. They don't want any player to miss out on content. Why would you make content if they're not going to play it or look at it? But this game doesn't care if you know what's going on. In fact, story-wise, I still have no clue what's going on. I'm about 6 hours in. I got no clue. You could ask me what the story is. Give me like $2,000. I explain a little bit. I got nothing, man. I'm pretty lost, but still fun. Exploration is fun and cute looking. Obviously, the camera is locked, so oftentimes you'll find secret passages by like moving into walls and other areas you can't see sometimes. So you kind of, got to use like the old school Doom approach of pushing up against the walls always in case there's like a secret passageway or a hidden room. The combat in this game is, as I mentioned, isometric. So the combat is a lot different from your typical action adventure game. Not that the combat is bad or anything. In fact, it's very tight, you know? The enemies you're facing will telegraph their movements and attacks, giving you just enough time to react either by dodging, blocking, or attacking mostly. But then you can also like throw bombs and other items, take health potions. So combat, I don't want to say it's basic because it's not really basic, but it's a little simple. Like, there's not a lot to do. There's no combos. You're not like clicking this way to do this type of attack. There's just a basic attack. There's nothing really too crazy, but it's still satisfying. Like, you still get that happy, satisfied feeling when you beat a hard boss like you do from Dark Souls. Not to take away from this game's combat system at all. It's still really good. There's a stamina and health bar, and eventually a magic bar. Dodging takes some stamina, and if you're hit while you're low stamina, you take more damage. But you do have a few frames of actual invincibility, which you're going to be using a lot in this game if you want to beat it. This game's story is what really reminds me of Dark Souls, and how the game doesn't really tell you anything, as I mentioned before. Like, there's a lot of breadcrumbs and mysteries going on, but there's never like a cutscene where it's like, okay, here's what's happening, here's why it happened, here's why your fox is on the beach. Game doesn't really tell you any of that. Another cool concept that this game executes is the game's manual. And this is like the first time I guess I've ever seen a game manual presented this way. Like, you do not start with a game manual. Like, when you press escape for the first time, like, there is no game manual. There's some options, like you can quit, but there's nothing telling you how to play the game at all. That's because you actually have to find and collect pages within the game, and they're all written in like some undecipherable language that looks like scribbles. Except for a few English words or whatever language you speak here or there, it's all like undecipherable scribbles. But it still does tell you what to do based off of like like the little one or two words of English. You'll get a clue. The illustrations look really beautiful. Like, it's all hand drawn. Like, I'll throw some up on the screen. It looks really crazy. Like, it looks incredibly beautiful and retro. And I've just never seen like any other game try something like this with like the game manual, which some people would consider almost kind of like essential to playing, which is why I think this will really piss some people off when you first start playing. Like, if you like games to tell you what to do, like, you're really gonna just hate the fact that like you don't even get to start with the game manual. And sometimes it is a bit frustrating. Like, you just want to know what like a potion does or something else, but it's like, oh, you haven't found the page of the manual yet. So you can either keep playing and wing it, or you can look it up online. But all the real important info, like everything that you're gonna need to know to actually play the game, is kind of easy to find out, either through just gameplay or finding like the manual page early on. Another aspect of this game is puzzles, which, full disclosure, I don't really like them in games too much. I'm a bit retarded. Puzzles are not easy for me. I'm not good with that part of my brain. But I found them enjoyable in this game. Some were harder than others. I had to look up the answers for a few of them, not all. But based off of how the Discord, so when this game, before it released, there was a Discord just for the reviewers of this game, and there was a discussion chat just for figuring out the puzzles. So I would say the devs, or should I say dev, encourage a little bit of teamwork when figuring these things out. As I mentioned before, the art style is absolutely gorgeous looking. Everything looks real cute. You don't want to have to kill the things that you're fighting. Like, they just look, they look adorable, and it looks really well polished. And then when you die, the other world you visit looks like ethereal. It looks heavenly, like out of this world. It's like the type of stuff that would melt your brain, like if you were on acid. And I just always appreciate that type of art. I mean, like, if you play the game, like, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The music is relaxing and cheerful. I'm not a music critic. I'm not a real musical guy, but I found the soundtrack pretty good overall. Another thing that I think, okay, so this has been a bit of a hot topic since Elden Ring came out. This game does have accessibility options. You can make it easier for yourself. If you just want to go through the story, you like the world, you just want to walk around, you can toggle invincibility, or you want to make it easier, you can turn on infinite stamina. So, I'll say I appreciate that. Not that I don't appreciate what Dark Souls and Elden Ring does, where there is no difficulty. If you want to beat the game, you got to beat the game the way the developers intended, which I definitely respect. But some people aren't looking for that, and especially in a game that, like, I guess kind of looks like this, where it's not taking itself that seriously. I don't have any issue with the accessibility options, and like, nobody's forcing you to turn them on. So I guess if you're not into that thing, if you don't want to even support that, just a heads up, it is in this game. There is accessibility options. So overall, this game's obviously inspired by Legend of Zelda and Dark Souls, but it's a lot more than that, and it's its own unique experience. As I said before, it is not Dark Souls that looks like Zelda. It is its own unique game, and I would recommend it. I'd say it's pretty good. I don't really give scores a solid 8, 8 out of 10, 8.5. The price is $30. People are saying it takes about 12 hours to beat. Haven't confirmed that for myself yet. But, 12 hours isn't bad for $30, especially when you're helping, support a lone developer who made something like this. And I really can't wait to see what he works on next. So that's all I have. Thanks for sticking around if you're still watching. Like, subscribe, do all that crazy cool stuff. I'll see you guys next time. This has been Conduit.